not morning anymore. It's like quarter to 12. I'm really late getting on today. I'm going to talk about the ketogenic diet today. Last week I talked about the Renew eating plan that is really powerful and popular when I was at the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine. And I got a question actually from one of my sisters about, send me that eating plan. I'm doing keto, and how is this eating plan different? And I told her to stay on keto because she seems to be responding very favorably with pretty rapid weight loss. So what is the ketogenic diet or ketogenic eating plan? I really hesitate to use that word diet because it can be a lifestyle. And it's a high fat, adequate protein, low carb eating plan. It's kind of a 70% fat, 20% protein, 10% carbohydrates. There's a whole lot of research out there about its usefulness in epilepsy. It dates back decades. Pre-diabetes, obesity, and metabolic syndrome, which is the precursor to type 2 diabetes. It can be very effective with type 2 diabetics as well, but because it's so low carb, that particular population has to watch their insulin requirements very, very closely. So how does it work? When you eat carbs and proteins, the body naturally converts that into glucose or sugar for energy. Glucose comes primarily from carbohydrates. So when you're on a ketogenic eating plan and your carbs are very limited and your protein is probably more limited than it has been in the past, fat's in large supply, and the body converts that into a different type of fuel called ketone bodies, which the body runs on instead of glucose. And when you're in ketosis, you can generate ketones from the dietary fat and the body fat to use for fuel. So that's essentially how it works. There's a big difference between good quality fats and bad fats, hydrogenated oils, which are in things out of boxes and bags. Dr. Mark Hyman, who used to be my boss at the Cleveland Clinic, wrote a book called Eat Fat, Get Thin. And it's a couple of years old right now, but it's still very relevant. And it kind of highlights a lot of what the ketogenic eating plan is all about. Kind of blowing up these myths around why fat is not good for you. So what are some good fats? I just kind of mentioned some bad fats. Good fats are things like coconut oil, olive oil, nuts, nut butters, eggs, avocado. They all fall into the good fat category. And the interesting thing about consuming a lot of fat is that when you do, it makes you feel full or satiated. The fancy word for it is satiated. So it kind of, once you get over the hump, probably after the first 3 to 4 days of doing it, typically the sugar cravings, the carb cravings go away. And you can go longer stretches of time between meals without your appetite getting all revved up. Another thing I was talking to my sister last weekend about, and something that she was not familiar with that kind of dovetails off of the ketogenic eating plan, is intermittent fasting. That can be very effective for people, but you got to kind of train your body to do it. So the whole concept around intermittent fasting is, back when we walked the earth as primitive man, and our GI tract was set up exactly the same way as it is in 2019. People had to forage for their food. You know, they had to go out and kill a little animal or pick something from a tree or dig something up out of the ground. And they had good days and bad days. So that's kind of what intermittent fasting is based on. We live in a culture in 2019 where food is readily available, and you can just stroll down to the kitchen 24/7 and eat, and people do that. That's not how the human body was designed to eat. So intermittent fasting is going longer stretches of time without having food on board. So a good way to kind of start experimenting with that to see if it's something that your body is kind of willing to do or it doesn't like cause a blood sugar swing is to have your first meal at 6 p.m. in the evening and then honor a 12-hour overnight fast and not eat again until 6 a.m. the next day. And then if you then break fast. If you do okay with that, then you can kind of extend the time that you're fasting. So for example, today or last night, I had my last meal at 6 p.m. and I won't eat again today until 12 noon. So I'm essentially honoring an 18-hour fast. That it can be very energizing. It helps with mental clarity when the stomach is empty. The body actually releases a hormone called BDNF. You can kind of look that up. It's sort of intimately tied with dementia. But so that's just kind of an overview of keto. It can be very effective for lots of people. Like I said, my sister, I think in 3 weeks has dropped to like 15 pounds. So it's kind of a good way to be able to lose weight rapidly and have good energy levels at the same time. So thank you. See you later. Sorry I was so late today.